Hey everyone, Kara Welkkey here with Next Level OTPT SLP. Here with our team, Alicia, Megan, and Anthony, as we are kicking off today's Next Level OTPT SLP podcast. So last week we got through two great questions, and today we're going to carry on with a few follow-up questions pertaining to that topic. So if you didn't hear last week's episode, make sure you go and check that out. The questions that we talked about on that episode were, what opportunities do therapists have today that didn't exist 10 years ago? And then we also talked about what's something that feels urgent every day but isn't actually important. So to continue on the path, today's first question is going to be, what signs tell you a business is running on people instead of processes? Who wants to take that one first? I kind of, you will. Okay, go for it, Alicia. I was going to say Anthony, I feel like should own that question, but Alicia, go for it.
Yeah, no kidding. I think when the owner doesn't sleep or is only getting a few hours of sleep every night, that would be a good sign that they're doing too much and don't have things automated. Like too much is on that person.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'll jump in. To expand on that, it's really, if you have to, I guess there's multiple layers, but it kind of depends on where you are in your business, right? Does the knowledge or does the actions that you need to do, does that process live in your head? Or is it something that you have like a physical copy of it? Somebody could read it, somebody could learn it, somebody could understand it. Or does it all live in your head? And then that, I feel like that is probably for not only just people starting out, but even people that feel like they're running the business, but they're really just by themselves. And then as you grow, you guys can maybe expand on this, but is it something where if something needs done, you go ask somebody else to do it? Like, hey, how do we do this? I don't know. Ask John, ask Mary. She knows how to do that process. So, is it something where it's attached to a person? There's a difference between, I think, delegation and responsibility. There's a very, very big difference there, and the whole understanding of what needs to get done and how the business actually functions too. Like it doesn't really depend on, your business shouldn't depend on people remembering what needs to happen in all aspects. It has processes, it has a standard, a code to really help it function and flow with or without you, right? That's what I see a lot of times.
Right. Would it fall apart if you had to take off a week even? Like some people can't even take off a few days, let alone a week, let alone if there's some kind of emergency where they need more time off. Because it's all, you're right.
If somebody is sick or if somebody leaves, do they leave? By leaving, does that create chaos? That's not a people problem. That's a systems problem. That's a process problem.
100%. We actually talked about that today. So we're doing a whole series on hiring, and it's broken down into multiple different levels. But today we were really talking about operational readiness and what you really should have ready before you hire. And also what you should have ready before you really have multiple people in it. But I asked the therapists that were there, like, if something happened to you right now, would your business continue to function and be okay functioning? Could it continue without you? And that was even a very different answer than when I said, okay, now many people were like, probably not. But then the other question was, okay, how about if in July you're going to take a week off and you have time to plan for it? Is your business going to function so you can be off for a week? And many of them said yes to that. But many of them, actually most of them, said no. If something happened to me today or tomorrow and I couldn't show up, would my business continue to function? So again, I think these are questions that we need to think about, because you can't be the bottleneck of your own practice if you want to eventually have it grow and get to a point where you're not working in it all day. And that goes back to having appropriate systems in place. But I also think, Anthony, you had a good point too. It's not just you. Once you have staff, it's if your admin all of a sudden quits, are you going to have someone that it can fill in to cover you so that the business doesn't fail, that it's going to be able to keep on going? And that's really all goes back to those systems that are in place. So Megan, thoughts?
Yeah, and I think that Anthony has like the best high level knowledge, although, but I think even the beginning steps when you start your business, immediately start tracking your passwords, start tracking how do you log into things, because I think we don't even think about that. And I've told Kara's probably heard this story, but when I started my business, my mom in front of the banker was like, holy crap, what if you are unconscious and can't pay your employees? I'm like, well, this is awkward in front of the banker, but she was very right. So even before you look at the system of the therapy or running the practice fully, start from the very beginning of having, like Anthony said, like you need to have a crumb trail of what you do every day and how to even log into something, because those little things, even if it's just me, somebody needs to be able to log in to check my billing. Somebody needs to be able to log in to maybe look at this. And a lot of people don't even have that. They're like, oh, I know it. It's in my head. And then as you hire that first admin or VA, like, this is where this is stored if you ever need it. Like those are the little things too. I think people can start implementing immediately before they even look at higher systems, because like you said, if something happens, or for gosh sakes, we just don't have service. Like you just don't have service. And then people freak out because they can't log into Zoom or they can't get into this account. And you're like, I'll be back in an hour from, the dead zone. But that would be a big thing too, because it didn't dawn on me either until my mom actually brought it up. And I was like, you're right. I have to do the business side too and make sure I have systems in place for who gets contacted for X, Y, and Z if I need help.
And just to add to that, so I have a new business, that it's a product-based business that I've been building. And I'm doing this from day one. So even though, I do have an admin person that helps me with some of it, but even for the things that she's not helping me with, that I anticipate somebody will at some point, as I do them, I just make little recordings. Like, this is how this is done. This is how this is done. So that it's like, if I do have to delegate it to someone, they can easily do it. But then it can change. Whoever is doing it can change. So it doesn't have to be assigned to just one person. So if they left or whatever, it'd be easy. So I think Megan makes such a great point that it's really not something you do when you're ready to hire or like down the line. It's something that you do from really day one, starting to think about all that stuff.
Yeah, it's huge. And it's little things. Well, maybe not little things, but even, Anthony, we talk to a lot of our therapists about even how they schedule, right? And, many of them, are fine with just paper and pencil. But if something happens to you, no one else knows what's on your paper and pencil schedule or who to see, right? So, or if you have staff and you let them all do random schedules, and if something happens to them, how are you going to know what clients they're seeing? And that's where we really stress the importance of creating an actual functioning system for your business that's not reliant just on people, that someone could pick up, see what's going on, and carry on. Do you want to talk a little bit about that, Anthony?
Yeah. Well, what's important there is that, right, you're not trying to store it all in your head, right? You're having a way of putting it out there, and you can't try to carry the world on your shoulders. You've got to be able to delegate. You've got to be able to let things go, because otherwise it's going to fall apart at some point, whether you break or some process breaks, because that's just life. You've got to be able to, have a fallback plan and know that there's somebody else to pick that up, and they have the knowledge to be able to do that.
And one other thing that I didn't really think about until we were doing this training today, it's not just on, schedules and passwords and paying the bank and so forth. It also, a sign that the business is running on people instead of processes, can also show up when you hire new staff and you don't have a good process in place to train them on some of the basics, like even billing or how to complete your evaluations, or you don't have templates in place. We tend to see this where all of a sudden people hire and then they're getting a lot more denials. Well, it's because they haven't minimized like what CPT codes people can use. And a new therapist is like, oh, this CPT code sounds good, I'm going to bill that. Or they might not understand that, no, you don't do an evaluation every time you do a progress note or things like that. So if there's not a good system in place to train and teach staff on the clinical documentation and so forth, a sign that it's relying on people versus having a good process in place could be, denials and problems with financials and all of those sorts of things as well.
Well, and I think if you look at just, again, financially, time is money. And if you're spending your time training somebody when you could have more processes in place too, that are automated, or that they have a list of things that they can just go, that you just give them to go do, as opposed to you being the one sitting down with them too. Like, you need to really think of being more of a CEO and really the owner of your business, being business minded, is to think of all those kind of things, and that your time is money, and anything that you can automate is going to ultimately help you have a better profit margin.
Yes, 100%. Okay, awesome. So I think we covered a lot of signs. I guess for you guys watching who have a private practice, just answer this question. If something happened to you right now, is your business going to continue functioning if you're not able to do anything in your business for the next week, for the next month? If not, what are you going to do to make it so you get to that point? Because that's a lot different than you're giving yourself a week or a month of time to plan to be gone and, get some people in place, because we never know what could happen, right? So we want to make sure that we do have a systems in place for that. Okay, next question on the list was, what is something you believed early on that you no longer believe?
I could speak on that from my side of things, which is non-clinical, right? For me, kind of two different ways there. I've had multiple experiences of just being in the front desk and thinking about how this needs to happen and how that evolves. And I think that businesses, you have to learn to be flexible. There should never just be, this is the only way to do this and there's no other way. I don't believe in that anymore. I used to think a lot of times that doing more would give you more growth, right? Like more tools, more automation, more software, more growth, right? No, it's really often I found that the more we stack in, the more complexity that we stack in with it. And the complexity actually, while there can be utility there, it tends to make it a lot more difficult for people to absorb, manage, and operate from. I don't think that people need 10,000 automations to run their business. I don't think you need even 100 oftentimes. I think you need maybe a dozen really good ones if it's just you. Maybe it stacks based off of how many people you have, but you don't need more tools, more software, this and that. You need better processes. I think it comes back to that question. Like, you need good processes because you can operate from that. Automation is just a benefit to that. It's a way that we just expedite that process. It's not you can't look at it as from a necessity or this object that you just go get more of necessarily. And that's the truth. The scaling part of it, that automation helps you scale. It's not something that we rely on, because if you don't have the fundamental, the foundation of it all, how can we really scale from there?
To jump on the more is better. Sorry, is that okay?
Yep, go for it.
So the more is better philosophy. I think same with just the amount of therapy you do. Like it doesn't always have to be an hour. Working in pediatrics and knowing that after school slots are really hard to get. 45-minute session means you might be able to get more people in those afternoons. So not everyone needs that, or even just giving more time to people. Sometimes they don't want that because they're busy too and they want to get out of there. So you think, oh, I'm giving all this extra to these people, but really you're just giving your time away when it's not necessarily getting reimbursed or even appreciated by the people that are receiving it. So I think those are, and more in that a bigger report. Like I've read pediatric reports that are 20 pages front and back. And I'm like, how can you possibly stay alive as a business if you are writing these crazy long reports like that nobody wants to read? Like a long narrative, nobody wants to read that many pages, and you don't need that to be a good therapist or to demonstrate, what why this person might need therapy. So. Yeah, time is money.
Yep. Awesome examples. Megan, what do you think?
I think that one thing that changed, I don't know that I've never been, driven by just money either, but I think every year that I get older, sadly, in the old world is my health and my just longevity and just youthfulness is worth way more than, running myself ragged. And I think, I said in the last one, like being an athlete as well, like there's so much research out there about, if we're idle, then we're lazy. And if we're just sitting still, for any of us, because you guys all work super hard in what you do, but it is okay to be idle, and it's mentally well for us, and it actually makes us better bosses and better therapists if we just have boundaries and time for ourselves and hobbies and things like that. And that's changed, because I definitely came into this like, I'm gonna hustle and I'm gonna set all these competitive goals for myself. Like I have to have a patient by this date and I have to have this much coming in, but it like burns you out. And so I think that's a big thing that's changed from the beginning to now. Is now it's like, I have this business so that I can maybe work out, so I can eat better, I can sleep better, so I can have longevity, because money doesn't do me any good if I'm dead. So definitely that has shifted.
Awesome. Those are all great examples. This is hard. I mean, there's a lot of areas. I agree that I really learned over the course of time the value of time. I don't think yes, I always put my family first and always made sure, I didn't miss any of the events. And I understood the value of time to a component, but like at the first year or so, I tried to do everything myself versus know and understand the value of actually getting help and getting support, and how that can actually move you forward so much faster than just really trying to do it yourself and trying to grab all of these different resources, that it actually, really slowed people down. So I'm all about, my time is my most valuable asset. If I can get someone else to help with some of these other areas that I'm not good at, it can move me forward way faster versus, again, at the beginning, I'd be like, oh, I don't want to spend money on that. So that's a huge one. Another thing that I talk a lot about is at the start of the Therapy Business Builder program, we actually did more for people. So again, there's kind of a line, right? Like, yes, you can pay people to do things, but there are also things that we have learned that it's really important for the business owner to learn and understand so that they can build their business appropriately. So that's things like when we first started, we just did the Medicare credentialing for people versus teaching them how to do it. But that created a lot of learned helplessness in many different areas. So we've really learned over the course of time what things that therapists should learn to do, what things they maybe should hire done, or what things they should learn to do, but then eventually, find someone else to do it. So there's kind of a time and place for all different things. But yeah, I really think there's some critical pieces that people need to learn and understand in order to do. So those might not be the things that you just value your time and hire someone else to do. So it's kind of figuring that fine line out. Any other thoughts on what's something you believe early on that you no longer believe before we move on to our next question?
Oh, I did believe that if you had a website, it meant people were going to come.
Ooh.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I really believe that. I'm officially open. I got the Google thing, and I got the website. So, yep, they should be showing up. Nope.
If
Does
you
not
build
work
it, they will come is not applicable in that scenario.
Definitely not.
Sorry.
Or if you bring cookies places, they will come. That's not really true.
Oh yeah,
either.
dropping
It's got
off your
to-
pamphlets means patience. No. Nope.
Or like you said, spending $500 to provide lunch for the clinic staff when really no one comes out to talk to you anyways. But
you just grab their lunch and go back. Yeah, so that is a big one.
There's one clinic around us that's how they feed their staff every lunch. They have someone come in and bring them lunch every day of the week, and that's the only way you can get through to the people. I'm like, yeah, that's okay. So no, good points. Yeah, websites. I mean, I guess I never had a website when I first started, but so many people do think that. And even Anthony, we've even had a couple of people lately though that instead of really focusing on their systems and their things that they need to get in place, are more concerned about revamping their website. So sometimes it's like, okay, we got to figure out what's going to actually get you to where you need to be versus doing some of these things that really aren't going to probably matter.
I think there's this cap of real utility there, right? Not having a website is not a good idea. You need something, and you should have what looks like you put some thought into it and you're speaking to your audience, right? Just having a front page with the logo and your name and, hey, we do this in this area, call us. That's not going to cut it, right? Like nobody's going to want to spend time there. But you also shouldn't feel like I need to go through every single service and I need to do this and that. And, spending hours at a time doing that for people that, again, may not see it at all because they can't find you because nobody knows about you because there's 100 other OT, PT, SLP practices in your area, and you're just now being established as a new clinic. It's a race and you're way behind. So you got to get out there. I will say, I know we're talking about what's something you believe early on that you no longer believe. And then there's things that people believe now that are not true at all, right? Like those go hand in hand. So
what are the things that, I know this kind of gives us off tangent, but based off of that, what are the things you 100% think people need to have on a website or online so that people find them versus spending hours and hours and thousands of dollars on a website?
What I tell people is that your website is like a billboard. How many billboards when you're driving somewhere do you see on a trip? How many of those billboards do you actually remember? Your website's going to be just like that. So you can't look at it as I need them to fully understand this service on a clinical level and fully understand what goes into this and all of this terminology, this jargon that you can get wrapped up in because you live in it day by day. Your clients, think about your clients. They probably don't know what half of those terms mean. So your website should tell a story. It should tell people why you're a good fit. It should speak from a level of confidence that you can help them and that they are a good fit. And this is why you're different. And this is how you're going to help them. Not necessarily, oh, we do these modalities and we do X, Y, and Z. It's, hey, I come and evaluate the safety of your home, right? And this is kind of a snapshot of what that looks like. Are you dealing with this? Are you dealing with that? Do you find yourself, struggling with this? Have you experienced this in a typical clinical setting? Well, I'm not like that, right? You have a chance to be very personal and not talk down to them, but talk with them. And so all of that kind of comes together to be very quick and give them some insights, give them the question, give them a little FAQ maybe on those sections like we talked about last week, and then get them to contact you, fill out a form. If they want to pick up the phone and call because the phone number is right there, that's fine too. But don't make it where they have to go and find the answer in 20 different pages to get where they need to go. Make it simple, but make it effective. And that can be hard if you don't know what you're doing there. So work with somebody, and you should not feel like you need to go spend $5,000 on a website. I will say that. You can, but I don't think it's necessary in this day and age right now.
We did a valuable, what would it be? We did a valuable action step last week in one of our coaching calls. So we assigned all the different therapists to therapists that they might not know very well, because a lot of our therapists in our program tend to get to know each other well. So I tried to assign them to people they may not know. And then they did a social media audit where all they could really know about the therapist was their name and their business. And then they had this social media audit to complete where they had to go and look, and they only had, I think I gave them like 3 minutes. Some places say, what can you find in 60 seconds? And then based off of that, then they, had to try to figure out what their problem solving statement was, who was their ideal client, and so forth. But it was really eye-opening for some of the therapists, because sometimes people portray different things, like on their Instagram versus their Facebook versus their website and so forth. But I like your description of, think of it as a billboard on that website is a good place to start.
Yeah.
Okay, last question for today's episode. If you lost your business tomorrow and had to start over, what would you do first?
I can easily say it's never, like, from my perspective, sure, I could go buy a new piece of software if the software that we use for some reason shut down tomorrow, right? Like, oh no, it just, I don't know, evaporated into thin air. And I had to start over theoretically. From my side, it's different. It's really about, and it applies to therapy too, but it's about relationships, right? Your practice runs on relationships, whether it's the relationship that you build with the clientele or with the referral with the other professionals in your area. It all revolves around that. Like, if there was no internet, what would you do? Like, that's kind of my thing. I would have to go out and meet people and go build those relationships before rebuilding any level of a system or process, right? From my side, technology, I can replace it. I can do something different. I can go build a website elsewhere. I can replicate automations elsewhere. But I can't just do that and expect to find, theoretically, another Kara, right, that I can partner with, that I can work with, that I can help. That trust isn't just something you manufacture and go build out of thin air. You've got to find those people and you've got to help them so that they can help you in the long run.
Awesome. Great answer.
That
Alicia,
aligns
Megan,
with what
who wants to go next?
that aligns with what I was going to say, and that would be, of course, I'd name my business first to make sure I had contact, but I probably networking. I think networking from day one and building those relationships is really important too. So I totally on board with that one.
I think that if it all went south, I think I would be even more, I know we always say like cast a wide net, but I think I'd be really more narrow even on my practice area, because I always knew what I was passionate about to a degree. And I think I still spent a lot of time maybe in areas that weren't filling my bucket. And then that got me really busy, which led to me hiring too soon, I think. And maybe not keeping focus on like, what do I really want to do? And what's truly my 10-year goal? And if my 10-year goal was more time or more this, like, did I do that? Probably not initially. I was just like plucking all the fruit off all the trees and putting it in a basket. And I'm like, I don't even like half this fruit. So I think I would just change how focused I am on what I do. I agree with the networking and the talking. I think that is one thing that truthfully I would do pretty much the same, because I am very cheap. And so that played in its favor for me, because I wasn't going to hide behind paid ads or anything. I was like, fine, I just got to get out there and meet people. And I think you guys nailed it with that. Like, that is the number one way you're going to build your business. So.
Okay, seriously, you guys, like, none of you would like take some time off and go on vacation? That wouldn't be the first thing you would do?
Well, yeah. That's kind of.
I thought you were going to Mexico and having a tiki hut.
I am going to, and seriously, Kara, that's true. If I lost my business, what do I do different? Take a month's vacation, I suppose. I would probably do a lot more, online things, because I love to travel. But remember, I started my business in 2020, you guys. It was like a hobby farm for me. It was like, I got this business, it's a hobby. And then the world came back online, and I was like, oh crap, I have this business and it's quite busy. Functioning again. So I think I do a lot of things different. I wouldn't have a hobby farm business that I start, to keep myself occupied.
Yeah, no, I mean, I was thinking, I would probably take some time, maybe do a vacation, as if I don't already vacation. But I agree with you guys. I would regroup, right? I would regroup, and your network is huge. The people in your community is huge, and I would connect and figure out what my next best move is, and make sure I have the relationships to help support me. And then I would follow everything we teach people. I know that sounds corny, but trust me, I went the hard way all the way through. So I would start over, and also have a mentor and a guide to help support along the way. So, because it's valuable. I mean, I'd be lost without the rest of you guys and my other support team to help me along the way as well, to make those decisions. So, I mean, I couldn't even tell the bank a question today until I talked to my financial coach to make sure I was telling the bank the right question or a right answer.
I think, what's worked, right? You know what's gotten you here. So you have the experience, what creates value, what actually, what works, what doesn't work, and you can repeat that. And right there alone is a system, right? Like, you have gone through these things and you could replicate that. So the truth is that those systems aren't going to create a great business for you. You're going to go and do that. And you being great is going to create systems by itself. Like, the people behind it are what make businesses great. And so you can go back and do that again. It's not as if you've struck lightning in a way. You could do it, but hopefully that's not something that anyone ever has to experience. But
exactly. Awesome. Well, great questions, great answers, good conversation. So for those of you guys that are listening, be sure to follow us on our YouTube channel. Make sure you come check out our Facebook group, Next Level OTPT SLP. You can definitely check out our website as well. It's just nextlevelot.com. But feel free to reach out to us. My email is kara@nextlevelot.com, and we love to connect and meet other therapists that are not only wanting to start a business, but also for therapists that are looking at thinking above and beyond traditional practice. There's so many opportunities for us out there. So if you have any topics you'd like us to discuss in future episodes, send them our way as well. So you guys all have a great rest of your day and week, and we'll see you guys next week.